So this is the what, fifth meeting of the working group, something like that. Doesn't really matter. All right, and we have a HackMD that Wesley just created. It's linked from the Zulip stream. And maybe we can go over, let's see, so participating, so attendance. We have David, Felix, Santiago, Wesley. Two faces that I admit I don't recognize because I don't remember. I probably, one of you has I think been here before, but I'm not sure about that. So I know. So could Aaron Hill raise their hand?
Hey.
Hi, Aaron. I don't know if I've actually seen a video of you before.
This is my first time here. I'm Aaron1011 on GitHub.
Yeah. No, I remember you, like your contributions. I just didn't recognize the face. And then we have a Julian Wollisberger down.
Yeah, hi, that's me. I am the first time here.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're just adding in any items or announcements that people want to put on. You can type it yourself on the agenda, and we'll go quickly through it after everyone adds whatever they want to add. So maybe just take a moment now. If anyone wants to write anything down, you can throw it on the items, or if you want to say it out loud, I can try to add it. Let's take a minute for that. I'm going to be starting a new job myself next Monday. So this either means that I'm going to have more time to do stuff for this, or it also could mean I have much less time to do stuff for this work.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's exciting. All right, it looks like we probably have all the items that people are going to add at this point. So let's go through this. So the first agenda item is David's reporting on the continued work on Split Dwarf, which we spent a little while talking about last time. But we can go ahead and quickly review it now, since not everyone was here last week. So David, you want to speak on this? Both just quickly say what the purpose of Split Dwarf is, like what it's accomplishing, and then review what you've done since last week. Couldn't unmute you, David. No, you're not muted, but we don't hear you. I don't hear you.
Okay, hear me now?
Nah, I can hear you now. Yeah, I'll mute myself.
So yeah, Split Dwarf lets us separate out debug info that doesn't require relocation at link time into either a separate file or to adjust the dwarf in the binary such that the linker can skip it. I'm working a PR to add support for that to RC. It's currently working. Last week, the problems we were facing were that we made a dwarf object file per every .o file, and we had to link those together somehow, because otherwise we'd end up with lots and lots of them, one for every compile unit or codegen unit. So I found out that LVM has a LVM DWP tool, which I could use for that, and it resolved the concerns we had with the DWP tool that BinUtils has, which was the only one I was aware of at the time. So I've adjusted things in the PR so that that tool is invoked in where we normally do linking for other objects, and I've also made some changes so that LVM's DWP tool is shipped in our sysroot like we do with LLD. So that gets it a lot closer. I think it's just reviews and then working out whatever final little things need change to make it usable.
Great. And just to be 100% clear, so we are still going to generate
individual files for each .o file, but then it's just that we gather them up at the end to produce.
Yeah, so
the
those still
product.
exist if you pass, say, like save temps, for example.
Great, great. Okay, very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, and then there's a PR from Santiago that just has a PR number here. What is the PR, like what is the title or purpose of the PR that you have, Santiago? I'll let you describe it yourself.
So there's nothing new here. It's like the same stuff I have done like last week. It's just like I mean I don't want to like what I did is not it doesn't need like a lot of explanation. I mean I didn't do anything basically. To sum up, like this is the same stuff. I have just revised the thing and we have run the perfect.
I think the only change is I'm gonna approve it today. I just want to write up an analysis of the perf results since there are some regressions, but it looks like the regressions are in really small tests. So we're looking at like a regression of 5 milliseconds or something in a synthetic benchmark.
Right, it's probably might just be a constant like
factor. Yeah, but
like
it shows up as like a 5% regression in one specific case or something. So I'm planning to approve today, but I'm going to write up a comment for the perf triage people so they hopefully don't freak out when they land on it.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's probably good to just say we've already investigated it. It's a good idea. Okay, all right, and we got some more time here, so let's go ahead and look over the open. Let's see. There's the issue triage. We have a lot of open incr-comp issues, 106 of them, and then 6 open WG incr-comp issues. This is a lot of stuff to go through. We're obviously not going to be able to do it in this meeting. A good task might be to figure out some way to get through these, like and categorize them in some other way. But also, could be useful for right now. I want to look quickly and see if either of these have any other labels like p-high on them, which I doubt they do. But let me see. Oh, some actually are tagged p-high. So it's possible that a good thing for us, at least in the meeting itself, would to be like look at the p-high and p-critical ones. Which unfortunately I don't think does GitHub have a way to access or to search. I can't recall. So
I don't think we have p-criticals, but
okay. So yeah, I don't see.
That would make things simpler for you, but
yeah, it will. That would make things easier for me. Well, there's no p-high WG incr-comp issues, and there's no, and then for p-critical, right? You said I don't think there are either any p-critical, but there are some p-high incr-comp issues. There's 3 of them. So I think a decent thing to do in the meeting itself would be to like look through the 3 that are there, and they're 2 of them are assigned. 2 of them are assigned to me, and then 1 is totally unassigned. So it probably is a decent idea and they're all very old. That's the other very important thing to note here. Like there's some worthwhile potential for us to just close them or determine if they are no longer an issue at all. So let's just go through them and see what their status is, or assign somebody to look at them. So the first one I'm going to mention is 62649, which is the ICE increment compilation after you substitute trait for struct, like that's in somebody like found a trait item and replaced it with a struct item, and this somehow caused breakage. And I do remember this because we spent a while investigating it. And the only question is like whether there's actual more work to be done, because my memory from looking at it was that somebody landed a workaround to prevent the ice. And then, oh no, is that not true? Hold on. I thought that was the case, that there was a workaround to prevent the ice.
I think there is. I had opened a PR that I think I had revived somebody else's PR, but I wasn't able to fix the perf issue, so eventually got closed. It's at the bottom of the thread. I can put it in.
Oh, okay.
So if I remember correctly, so there's like a hack in the depth graph system that let me see if I can find where it is. But I think the issue is still there. It's just there's hopefully a better way of doing it than the current hack. So let me find the GitHub link and I'll put it in Zulip.
Okay. Oh, I see. Aaron? Are you talking about that was Aaron, right? Or was it Wesley? Sorry, who was speaking just now?
That was me, Aaron.
Okay, right. So we need the PR you're talking about. Is it 75641? Because that actually linked the issue.
That's right. Yeah,
Okay.
but it had some major perf regressions and I didn't have time to fix them yet.
Okay. And the point is, in part, this does it still exist at this point then? I'm trying to understand because I see in the thread that there was some discussion that there was a workaround that landed and it was just the issue was just landing the more fundamental issues that caused the problem. But then I saw some other mentioning of people mentioning that like certain kinds of compiler flags could cause the thing to happen. So do you know offhand whether that you can observe the bug in any case, even with the workaround, or is it something where the workaround, as far as we know, means the bug is not reproducible, not observable?
I'm not certain about that. So I know what's happening in the issue is that the dependency graph is supposed to, everything that accesses the HIR is supposed to go through the dependency graph so that when it gets changed, we mark it as red. We don't try to read something that doesn't exist. But I think what's currently happening is that we have this other table that we populate that doesn't go through incremental compilation, doesn't go through the depth graph. And so we may recompute that. We may try to read from it. And we'll read from something that no longer exists without going through it. And I think there's a hack that marks it as red when we get to that error. I'm not familiar enough with incremental compilation to know if that could cause any other issues, but I think whoever wrote it did not intend it for it to be there long term.
Yeah, I see. Right, and that hack does. I mean, that sounds like that would be conservative. Like it should you really shouldn't see the ice anymore. I think. Oh well. Depends on what kind of ice it is, I guess, in terms of whether we're, but anyway, all right. We spent enough time on this, I guess. It sounds like there's potentially still stuff to investigate here. At the very least, try to get rid of the workaround. All right. I also assume, Aaron, that you have other things that you've been working on and don't really want to try to resume working on this, given or in the short term, because there's other stuff you're doing that is more important, or are you interested in trying to figure out some way to resolve this?
I could try to reopen my PR again. The main thing was that it was, I think, content-wise, it was working. It was I'd revived somebody else's PR that I think had fixed it, but
right.
It was the, let me see if I think the perf run is still here, and I think it was pretty bad. And I'm not super experienced with performance-related things.
Okay, let me see. So there, I see the perf run results. They are still there. It was
not great. It was regressions across like a 1% regression across a ton of benchmarks. So it's not really good.
Yeah.
And looking at the average, it's more like a 2 to 3% regression on incremental benchmarks and no effect on full.
Right.
So non-incremental. So that's
right.
not
So that's
really
sort
great.
of expected, but also not great. Okay. Interesting.
A lot of the worst regressions are in small test cases. If you look at the larger crates, it averages more toward 1%. So,
okay.
Just to say it's not as bad as it looks initially.
All right. Let's all right, see, it doesn't sound like something that has to be resolved in the short term, but it would be good to try to look into it. And the only question is whether to try to revive the previous approach or figure out something else to do here.
I did find the hack and I linked it in Zulip where we're currently. So yeah, what's happening is I think I think the way incremental works is that we hash the def ID and get the def hash, and if that, we're supposed to in the whole incremental system check if that still exists, and if it doesn't, we bail out, we mark it as red, and that means we have to rerun the query. But I think what's happening here is we think it exists, but it's not properly being tracked, so we're trying to read the wrong def node.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I couldn't say if this could cause other issues. I'm not. I have a little experience with the incremental system, but not too much.
Okay. let's leave it open, obviously, and I guess p high. The only question is whether to lower the priority on this, but I think I'd want to keep the priority of p high for now. What I am gonna do is unassign Aeteron because I'm certain that they are not looking at this. And the only question is whether I should also unassign myself. Realistically, I probably should assign myself because I'm not really looking at this and not intending to look at it in the near term. Okay. Next up, let's look at another issue. So next one on the list is 58633. X.py check failed if incremental build's enabled. This is again an old bug, so it's questionable whether it's even still a problem. Oh, right. Okay. So this bug is something where there's like certain unused attributes, or rather there's lints for unused attributes, and something about the incremental system is causing, like the lint system is relying on certain things being, processed or tables being populated or whatever, and then the incremental system doesn't actually necessarily populate those tables, if I remember correctly, and so you end up getting these things flagged as unused because it doesn't encounter the code that's actually using those attributes. And we basically worked around it in the compiler bootstrapping by just saying allow unused attributes, stop warning or denying them. And honestly, it's hard to say whether this is, like, to me, it's something where I would think that the same problem, I'm trying to remember if it's an artifact of our bootstrapping process in terms of being specific to like certain stages, and it wouldn't actually happen in real world crates. But I'm not 100% sure. It definitely sounds like something where you would think that if this problem occurred outside of our strange particular bootstrapping system, then we'd see people complaining about it elsewhere. So it's a hard call to make in terms of whether to just close this or to leave it open, because really it's a question of, do we treat this like something that's a more fundamental bug that represents it just as a design flaw somewhere, or do we say, you know what, we aren't going to try to fix this? I don't know.
One thing I'm
I think I'd probably sorry.
Oh
no, you
keep going. One thing I'm noticing reading through is that all of the affected issues appear to be internal, like Rust-C only attributes. So allow internal unstable, any of the Rust-C prefix ones. So I don't know if that's what people happen to come across, or maybe that points to, like you said, this being something specific to bootstrapping, specific to working on the compiler that can't actually affect users because some of the Rust-C lints are implemented different. Rust-C
yeah, right. That's a good point in terms of it being a lot of Rust-C attributes are often implemented in a way that's sort of not the standard lint system, which would definitely explain why normal lints don't encounter this, because probably we do things the right way with the normal lint system, and then the Rust-C attributes sometimes are just sort of hacked in and don't go through the standard path.
Yeah, because lints, if I remember correctly, they're like normally done as like HIR visitors, and I don't think HIR is done. We always run lints on the full thing. I don't think that's, these AST isn't incremental, so we have to lower that each time.
We could actually, instead of try to fix this bug as it is, we could stop using unused. We could make a new unused attributes thing, like unused Rust-C attributes, or Rust-C unused, Rust-C unused Rust-C attributes, something like that, that would just only whitelist the Rust-C attributes as if they're unused, right? And stop basically something that interacts with the unused attributes lints, but in a way that's specific to Rust-C. And that way we would be precise about saying this is just for these attributes that are already, unstable, etc. And it would, if this hypothesis that it's just this only is affecting Rust-C attributes is correct, then we would get the benefit that the compiler developers would still get the behavior of like linting on other kinds of attributes when they're unused. So it's worth considering. I mainly mentioned it because it sounds to me like a very easy hack versus trying to figure out what's wrong with the implementation of each one of these Rust-C attributes, that they're not, being properly tagged by incremental compilation. What do people, does anyone have any opinions about whether it's a terrible hack or a decent one?
It doesn't seem like a terrible hack to me. I am reading, Michael left a comment on December 19th, 2019, that having heard what Aaron said, I read it a little bit differently. And it sounds to me like he's saying that unused attributes just doesn't work. The unused attribute just doesn't work with the incremental system.
That's more troubling.
Because he says we have a solution for side effects in the incremental system for diagnostics. It could probably be expanded to unused attributes if there's no cleaner approach. What sounds like unused attributes just doesn't play nice with incremental at all. But maybe I'm reading too much into that.
But then that's funny. Do you think people just blow away their incremental state when they encounter this and don't report it as a bug?
So anecdotally, I was hitting this a lot in the past and haven't hit it in quite a while. So I don't know if that's just me, if that's just I'm not running to it for whatever reason, or if that indicates something has changed. And if I remember correctly, the way marking attributes is used work, or at least some of them, is that there's this global field in like one of the AST globals or something, and that doesn't interact with incremental compilation at all. And I think the reason it just doesn't come up is that we don't try to do anything incremental with lints. We just run them across the whole HIR. Like I could be wrong about that, but I think that's how it currently works.
We've had a PR land in April that allows unused attributes in stage 0 incremental builds for the standard library. So we wouldn't have had it anymore, even if it was still a problem.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah.
I see. So when Aaron said that they were hitting it themselves, you still meant only on Rust-C bootstrapping, not in other projects, right, Aaron?
That's right. I've never seen this in any other project. So
okay,
it probably very much is just the ignoring them for bootstrap then, or allowing them, I mean.
Well, a way we could definitely, so certainly if we did an approach of what I said, the hack I was describing of having Rust-C, unused Rust-C attributes, as a separate thing, then that would allow us to confirm or deny the hypothesis that this is a more general problem than just the Rust-C attributes, right? We would very quickly, presumably, if we then turn that on, still hit other unused attributes, presumably elsewhere. Okay, let me, yeah, okay. I'm willing to leave this open and assigned to me if it's already, assuming it's still assigned to me, and hopefully maybe look at one of those approaches. It definitely should stay open, it sounds like, because the potential for it to being a real bug that's observable elsewhere still worries me. Okay, let's move on to the next issue. The next issue is 58368, which is it's 58368. It says a big regression in Tokyo web push simple opt. So a certain benchmark regressed by 88%, and they identified it, the PR, the commit that caused it to be a certain queerification. That's interesting. So that caused incremental compilation to hand more code to LLVM. But then ZanyWalk says they can't find an obvious culprit. Okay. And no one's had a time to investigate this more deeply. Okay. Well.
And the perf run looks to be gone from the perf server, which seems super unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too bad. I wonder about that. I think, it'd probably be a good, I've encountered a couple of cases like this where the perf runs get, automatically deleted. We probably should consider having some way to archive individual perf runs, either, by either letting people say, I want this archive, like tagged as keep this because I'm linking to it somewhere that's important, or even just automatically do it for ones that are actually linked from GitHub. I'll bring that up with some simulacrum, because I think they're the ones who drive the perf service, right? Because it seems like I've encountered this multiple times. But nonetheless, because somebody did track down to a commit, then it's the potential to be able to still track down what caused this. I'm gonna leave this open and assign to myself, because if it is a Tokyo, in terms of like if it's something that affects Tokyo, which it's not clear to me whether it really is or not, but there's reasons that I think I'm going to care about it. So I'm going to go ahead and assign it to myself and hopefully look at it maybe this week or next week. Okay. And that's all the issues that are marked P high. So the last thing I want to sort of then address is this question of, we have a large collection of issues that are not P high, and in fact that are not tagged with any label at all, right? In terms of prioritization. And it might be a good idea for us to, at some point, I don't think today's meeting is the right place for it, but we might want to plan to try to process this backlog in some incremental fashion, so to speak. And so I propose that maybe we just like before each meeting every 2 weeks, this at the current cadence, we allocate like 10 of the issues or something like that, and just put them like and queue them for being prioritized. And actually what we could do is we could just take 10 issues right now and queue them, and then if we don't prioritize them in some way before the next meeting, then we do it at the meeting itself. Does that seem plausible to you all? I mean, that's the first question. Does it sound reasonable to say we should be trying to process this backlog of issues in some fashion? I think we're the sort of best people to do it, given that they're tagged as single compilation. So the only question is whether people think that's actually a useful thing to do.
That sounds good to me. I could definitely help out with some of them.
Okay. So then, yeah, I think rather than saying we will process a certain number of issues at the next meeting, I think it's more effective to say to enqueue the work right now. And that way, if it happens asynchronously, that's awesome. And if it doesn't happen asynchronously, then we'll force ourselves to do it the next meeting. Or we'll try to force ourselves. We'll see how much is on our plate at that time. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is on the HackMD is just write down the enqueued set of issues, if I can get my browser to actually respond to me. Wow, it's really, nothing's working. Oh, it's just super laggy. Okay. And by to be triaged here, I basically just mean mark with a P label, which I know not all of you have done, because that's the work of the prioritization group for the most part. But I think it's a useful thing to, I don't know, learn about. So let's so we can talk about that asynchronously in terms of the process there, like what are the criteria that one uses. My Lord, I am just, so yeah, the first 10 issues is what my plan is to put on here. So I'm putting 77118, 77118, 76720, 76251. Wait, are these PRs or no? They are all issues, right? Yeah, they are issues. Okay, sorry. 76037, 75997, 75900, and 74946. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 74890, 74379, and 74258. Okay, so that's 10 issues. And like I said, I think it'd be great if we can try to just prioritize them asynchronously. Santiago, do you think that it'd be good to have the conversation? So what the prioritization group does is they allocate individual issues they allocate Zulip topics for each individual issue.
Right. If we add the label, the prioritization label, it will automatically create a topic in the prioritization
stream, right?
Right.
So that might be the simplest thing to do here, because the only question to me is like, would we want to keep the conversations about the prioritization here in the incremental compilation working group stream, or do we want it to go in the prioritization working group stream? And personally, I think it'd be fine to have it go in the prioritization working group stream, and just have the people who are in this working group also, join that particular topic area. I don't know if they need to join the whole stream in order to participate in the individual topics, or if they can somehow join a topic on its own without being, subjected to the deluge of notifications from the prioritization working group. But it's just one detail here. But does anyone? So yeah, my proposal is we leverage the existing infrastructure and tag these things with iPrioritize, and then we just go and try to process them in that other stream, which I know might be counterintuitive in terms of saying, we're part of the incremental compilation working group, but I think it's good to give some visibility to this work in that area. Okay.
Yeah, I can also comment in the working group saying that we are going to do this, and there are going to be 10 issues that will show up there. And the idea is that this working group is gonna help prioritizing those. So
exactly,
for everyone to be aware of this.
Were you thinking you would tag them as prioritized now, or tag them as we actually decide to prioritize them? I
think that they're going to get prioritized one way or another, so therefore there's no reason not to just tag them right now. So yeah, I think adding the so do you typically just add the label, Santiago, or is there a comment that you put on?
You just add the label, yeah.
So we just add the label I prioritize to each one of these issues, then it'll the bot will do the rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, my only thought there is the prioritization working group is pretty good about jumping on stuff as it comes up. So if you
steal the work from us
right now, they might be prioritized.
I see. Okay, good. All right, so let's not. All right, so on the one hand,
which might be totally fine, but if the goal is for us to do some of the work and not just spam them with work, then
yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's wait. That's an excellent point. Then let's not tag the issue until once one of us is ready to actually DQ one of these issues, then tag it with I prioritize and go to the stream.
Like, and also if we want to go another route, like we could totally have the list in the HackMD and not tag with I prioritize, and just go ahead and add the prioritization label. We think it should.
Sure, I just want to make sure I want to make sure there's a place where the conversation about the prioritization happens.
Right.
And so that either would happen. And so either we're going to try to hide this from the prioritization working group entirely, or we're going to, make it something that we alert them to it, or at least, make it observable in their space. And to me, I'm fine either way. I don't see much reason to hide it besides making them feel like they're being presented with more work, which is an excellent point that Wesley brought up. But I think we can handle that if, when someone has a chance to chew it off and then writes in the open topic area that this is something that the incremental compilation working group is looking at right now in terms of the prioritization, then I think that'll be okay. I don't think we need to entirely avoid using the prioritization working groups infrastructure here. Although I would love to know if they, if you could bring it up at the next meeting, Santiago, get feedback about, or maybe I'll show up to the next meeting. I don't know, unlikely. But the next time that you have a governance meeting or whatever for the prioritization working group, getting feedback about whether they think this is a terrible idea or not would be good.
Yeah, that seems fine to me. I just want to make sure that we don't create a bunch of work for them and then they go do all of our work for us. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, great. That's everything that I sort of think is good for us to cover. Is there any other things that anyone wants to bring up before we end the meeting? Okay, thanks everyone for attending. This has been great, and yeah, I'll hopefully see you all in 2 weeks. All right. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.